comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but there's a baby crying, and she cried all fucking last night, and I got about 3 winks sleep. Well, that's not exactly true, because at about 4 a.m., I went to another room and left it for my wife. If I stayed any longer with the baby like kicking me in the head and crying, my son would have been an only child. After a while, there's nothing I can do. I just get more and more frustrated, and males don't have the empathy gene like females do. So your natural instinct is like to yell at the baby that doesn't understand or to shake it. Shake it viciously. What the fuck are you crying about? Stop crying. Can't you see I'm trying to sleep? I was in the middle of a good dream. I'm meditating again too, every day, and it's not fucking helping. Maybe it's not enough meditation. I'm doing 23 minutes in the morning. I probably need to be doing about 2 or 3 hours. I think it's my sleeping. Everything is fucking connected to my sleeping. If I get a bad night's sleep, it's just over for everyone. For me, for anyone around me, for my fucking kids, for the lady who we got who was pretending to be a nanny and just fucking sat around burping and eating for fucking 2 weeks. I didn't mention it, but we've been looking to get a nanny to help us out with the kids. Well, not us. Help my wife and her mum out. Like, I do stuff. I definitely do stuff. I'm definitely there doing stuff. I'm fathering. I am doing some fathering. But percentage-wise, compared to the ladies, I'm doing maybe like 15% of what they're doing. And I think they would say I'm being very generous. So we've been looking for a nanny because it costs like a couple of $100 a month to get a fucking nanny in. So why not? And the schools haven't been open and childcare hasn't been open, but the schools are starting back next week. So my fucking kid is going to school from the first day it fucking opens. I don't care what the fuck they're teaching there. Indian, fucking Arabic. He is going there and he is staying there for 8 hours a day. I will be walking him there every single morning to make sure he is at school. He's not even really old enough to be starting grade 1 yet, but he will be starting because all the other rats he's hanging around with, they'll be starting school and there'll be no one in the street except fucking, I don't know, the guy that sells spinach in the mornings and the guy that sharpens the knives. And he can't hang out with those two, so he is going to fucking school. But anyway, we've been looking for a nanny and we got a lady in a couple of weeks ago. She's from some fucking village. And the thing is with all these like nannies and maids and shit like that, they all have these stories of their husbands are drunks. This is like the legit straight up story of every nanny. My husband's a drunk. He beats the fuck out of me. So I had to leave and now I'm just going to do whatever I can. So we got this lady. That was her story. And she brought her kid, a 6-year-old daughter, came with her. And for 2 weeks, they did absolutely nothing besides sit in front of the TV and eat. They didn't even help at all. They did less than I was doing. I'm not even joking. She legitimately did less than I was doing. She was meant to take some of that 15% burden off me. And she actually probably added a few percent. But the thing is, that wasn't even the most annoying thing about her. Just watching her sit there eating my cashew nuts in front of the TV while I'm looking after my own kid. The most annoying thing about her was she would just burp every maybe 4 or 5 seconds. She was just burping all the time. Every time I walked past her, she would do like a giant just a fucking burp machine this lady was. I'm like, I can't put up with this for much longer. Anyway, she got sick of it. She got sick of watching TV and eating cashews. So she's like, my brother lives in Bangalore, so I'm going to go live with him and weave saris or some shit. The whole thing ended up being a big scam for her to get from the village to Bangalore to live with her brother. And she had a holiday for like 2 fucking weeks. Then last week, my wife got scammed out of some money, like $100, by some dude pretending to be a fucking nanny agency. I don't even think he wanted to scam my wife, but my wife was so desperate to get a fucking nanny. She was like, hey, I've got the money here. Where do I send it? If you see the text messages between my wife and this guy, it's almost like my wife forced him into scamming her. A couple of times he didn't even reply for like 2 days. The first message was, hey, we're looking for a nanny in Bangalore. And he's like, we only have Hindi-speaking nannies. And my wife's like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. No one in the house speaks Hindi. My wife's just like, yeah, that'll do, that's good. And then I don't know where she got it, but she found some photo of the nannies he was offering. And she's like, can I please speak to this one? And he didn't reply for 2 days. And then 2 days later, my wife's like, hey, are you still providing us a service? And he's like, oh, yep. What did you want again? And she's like, we need a nanny in Bangalore. He's like, yeah, I know the perfect lady. And my wife's like, can we please speak to her? So they got on the phone, some lady on the phone my wife spoke to. It was all sweet. Then no contact again for like 2 or 3 days. And my wife sent him a message saying, hey, I've got the money here. Where do I send it? Where do I send this money? And the guy's like, hold on, I'll send you my details. And my wife's like, hey, can you also please send me a link to your website? And he ignored that and said, here's my details. And my wife sent a big thumbs up and just sent him the money. That's how desperate she was for a nanny. And then obviously it was a fucking scam. So we got taken for a ride there. So now at the moment, it's almost impossible to find people here now. Because during COVID, all the people who lived in the villages just went back to the fucking villages. They're like, fuck this. I'm not working for $200 a fucking month anymore. I'm just going back to the fucking village and I'm going to eat some rice and I'm going to lounge around. Which is exactly what I would do as well if I was them. But we need a nanny because basically I want to go on some holidays. I want to go to the Himalayas. I want to go to Base Camp Everest. I want to go to Spain. I want to go back to Cuba. I want to travel the world. And you can't do that with 2 fucking kids. And you can't just leave 2 kids with their grandparents by themselves. That would be irresponsible. So we need a nanny to take some heat off the grandma. And also we're looking into our next move. What's the next move after India? Because I don't know about Australia. There's a few different moves that can be made. Apparently, we were speaking to someone today. My wife, because of her education and her experience, could get a 3 to 5 year visa to the UK, which would be cool. That's an option. Also, there's the possibility of getting PR, permanent residency in Canada. But Canada sounds kind of fucked up at the moment. It sounds almost the same as Australia. But that could be another option. Another option could be go back to Australia for a few months, leave the kids here, obviously. Obviously leave the kids here while we go back to Australia. And my wife gets citizenship in Australia. We get the Australian passport. And then we apply to the US and maybe go to the US. So there's a few options there. There's also Poland or something like that, or Mexico. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a Goldilocks period for the next 1 or 2 years before the next catastrophe. So it's best to take advantage of that little period now before it fully closes up forever. Forever. But all this is contingent on a fucking nanny, and there is not a nanny in sight. So nothing will be happening until we find a fucking nanny. Early November is the best month to go to the Himalayas as well, so there better be a fucking nanny soon. Otherwise, Dada is going fucking mountaineering by himself. Anyway, that is it for tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, share it around with your friends. Hit me up on social media. Until I get my website up and running, I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see ya the fuck later.